Yeah. Right, big game at Anfield on Saturday. It's Liverpool taking on Nottingham Forest in the late kickoff at Anfield. Let's hear from Steve Cooper, but first Jurgen Klopp.
The only game you have to think about is the next game. There's no alternative to that. And that's exactly what we do. I couldn't care less where we play after tomorrow, to be honest. It's just about the game tomorrow. It's about Nottingham Forest. It's about showing all the respect we have for them. With Steve Cooper, they're in a difficult situation. They will fight for their lives. Definitely, they will. Each point they can grasp will be massive, and if they can get 3, it will be super massive. And that's that's the team I expect. That's definitely the opposite of a friendly game, and that's what we have to be prepared for.
They are really as tough as it gets. Liverpool at Anfield. I've seen many games there myself over the years. I've worked there as well for a spell in the academy, so I know how tough that it is. So we don't compare the two games. Obviously, the home game, our home game, was a long time ago now, and probably two different teams and obviously different stages of the season. But I go back to, we know that if we get it right on any particular day, that we can have good days.
Farah, do you give Nottingham Forest any chance here? The worst record away from home this season in the Premier League, just the 6 points they've struggled, haven't they, on their travels?
They've struggled away from home, and at Anfield, like Liverpool, rarely lose. They've lost 1 to Leeds this season. So, yeah, I don't see them going to Anfield and getting anything. And the form that Liverpool are starting to find themselves in, they're getting there. Salah's starting to score. You've seen Jota's back, Firmino's getting goals. So they're in a better place than they were a few weeks back. So they're coming into this game full of confidence at Anfield. I don't see Forest going there and getting anything. It's going to be, potentially, it could be a battering for Forest, in my opinion.
Are they going down for you, Forest? They're currently in the bottom 3 on goal difference.
They are. They're no wins in 10. They've got really hard fixtures coming up. I don't see them winning at Anfield. The best they can get, in my opinion, is a point if Liverpool play poorly.
They'll play Arsenal at home as well, don't they?
Yeah, they've got really tough fixtures. I don't expect Liverpool to play poorly. I mean, Liverpool have been another team that have been inconsistent, like Tottenham.
Yeah.
Like Chelsea this season, but I think they're getting close to their strides. I think I've seen that in the Leeds game, not because it was Leeds, not because it was the scoreline. It was the positional play of Trent Alexander-Arnold, which is a new position for him, stepping into midfield. He looked really comfortable in that role. Diaz is now back. He might even get a start being at home. Like Farah said, I think the top boys are all starting to hit form. Jota's, hitting his straps again. He come into the side and was... When you come from a long injury, you can play 2 or 3 games and all of a sudden you get a little bit tired. And then after that, you can kick on again. So I look at Liverpool in the mini run that they're in. I expect a home win.
Yeah, 9 points off the Champions League places. I don't think any of us on the couch here would have thought that Liverpool would have been that far off at this stage on the home straight. So the Champions League probably a stretch, Farah, but how damaging will it be that the lack of top-flight European football and having maybe to settle for the Europa Conference League and the Europa League if they're lucky from this position?
Yeah, it's not what the club or the fans would have expected. As a neutral, I certainly didn't expect Liverpool to fall outside of the top 4, given the last 3 seasons they've had, going toe-to-toe with Manchester City. They've had, as Don mentions, a really inconsistent season, along with the likes of Chelsea and Spurs. So it's been a difficult season for them, and injuries, and, certainly showing in that midfield area. The legs are starting to lose a little bit of legs in there. So I would expect some change from Liverpool in the summer. But, European football, they have to get there.
Yep. The only thing that gives them a little bit of hope is obviously they've got a game in hand and they've got 8 fixtures left, 5 at home. They've played a lot of away games. The toughest side they play from now to the end of the season is Tottenham. So potentially, if they can hit form, they're playing most of the teams in the bottom half, 5 at home. You'd like to think Liverpool should be strong at Anfield, which they have been for about 5 years. So if they can get something going and home form gets going, they can get close. I don't think they'll make Champions League. I think Newcastle and Man United will make it. But if they can get close to Tottenham and hit European football, not conference, but I think Europa League will still be a good return off a run of a bad season.
Yeah.
And then they can try and kick on from there. They can sell the club to 1 or 2 individuals. And I think from what I hear, there's going to be huge investment in the summer.
That's what it's about, isn't it? It's the momentum carrying into next season and just mainly that positivity around the club. All right, they may not be going for the Bellinghams and so on, but, they've been linked with the likes of Mason Mount. And it's about getting that good feeling back at Anfield. And as Klopp has said all along, a rebuild, because that's what they need.
Yeah, they definitely need a rebuild. I don't like the fact that you're mentioning Mason Mount going to Liverpool. As a Chelsea fan, it would be a huge loss.
Might have to get used to that.
I know. It upsets me, the thought of it, but they do need a rebuild, and certainly in that midfield area. I think once they get their strikers back, which you started to see, Diaz and Jota, and Gakpo starting to find his feet within that team, I think it's that midfield area. Probably need an extra centre-half in there as well. I think if they can get some good signings in the summer, then you'd expect Liverpool to get, close back to where they were the last few seasons.
And back amongst the goals, Liverpool, which is, we saw the performance against Leeds and, the Diogo Jota, people that have missed so much of the season that they could have done with these months ago.
But it was even the other side of it, Will. It was the closing down with a minute to go, and Jurgen Klopp was sort of salivating on his seat, shouting sort of, "Oh my God!" There was 4 Liverpool players closing Leeds down. This is what you expect of Liverpool. I mean, Curtis Jones has come into the side the last 3 or 4 games. He's got a point to prove to say to Jurgen Klopp, you don't have to spend it on midfield players. Gakpo, I think, looks a really smart sign. He reminds me of a young Firmino, and he puts it on a plate for Salah. I look at Liverpool and that little area where Trent's popping up is a game changer for Liverpool, because we know Trent's flaws. But when you look at what Zinchenko does and Joshua Kimmich does for Bayern to an extent, John Stones does it for Man City. I mean, these are world-class passes that he's producing in an area where he can have a bit of freedom. If he gives the ball away, it's not the end of the world. He's then got to shift back into his right back defensive duties, but he's then got Konate in good form and Van Dijk, who are there to protect him. So I think it's people can say Jurgen Klopp's copied the tactics of maybe Guardiola or Mikel Arteta, but why wouldn't you when you've got someone like Trent Alexander-Arnold? He's just an amazing, passer of the ball, and like De Bruyne, he's got a range of pass.
Yeah, good to see him playing the way that we all expected him to. Brentford against Aston Villa next up. Let's hear from Unai Emery, but first Thomas Frank.
It's never been the aim for us just to survive in this league. We never mention it. We always want to aim as high as possible and develop and get higher. But for Brentford, second lowest budget and all that, to just stay in the league is unbelievable success. To be close to maybe finishing top 10 shouldn't be possible, and to be on a European hunt, that's remarkable. So we are not on a European hunt, but we want to end as high as possible. So we badly want to win tomorrow against Villa.
Brentford on Saturday is now the last matches we play away. I think the most difficult challenge we will have. They only lost 2 matches at home, against Arsenal long time ago and against Newcastle, but very difficult match for both. And I think now Brentford is the team after Newcastle, both similar, the best defensively in the structure they are playing.
Don, did you expect Unai Emery to have this impact when he got the job at Villa Park? 7 wins in the last 8, and they're not out of the Champions League race.
No, I think that's too much of a stretch for them to get top 4. I expected him to do a really good job because he's a first-class manager. I didn't expect this run of results and where he's got them to 6th in the league. It's just remarkable. This should be an amazing game. I think it's a great test. I think I could read between the lines what Unai Emery was saying there. He was basically saying, if I've read him correctly, that Brentford, I think, is one of the places where no one wants to really go, because you get a fight there. And Brentford can give you any type of game. They can fight you, they can pass you, they can go direct, they can keep the ball. All facets of their game is amazing, and they can get in your faces and stop you from playing. So, big test for Villa.
What has Emery done with Ollie Watkins? There was always a player in there, clearly, and he's probably enjoying playing through the middle, and now Danny Ings is out the way. But 11 goals in the Premier League in 2023, level with the great Erling Haaland.
It's fantastic. He's probably gone in there and told him, you're the main man. You're the striker that we need to get these goals. And I think if you look at the way they play, he's gone in there and he's organised them. They were very or looked at times unorganised under Gerrard. They were organised, but they play with a different balance. So they play on one side with a wide player that plays a little bit wide, and a fullback on the opposite side that plays a little bit wider, as opposed to 2 wide players. And then they play with narrow. They play with a narrow 4, which means they've got players that are closer to Watkins. So when he's up there on his own, he was really struggling. Now he seems to have 3 or 4 players around him when he is getting the ball to be able to get into positions to score goals. So I think Emery's designed a team that actually suits Watkins. Defensively, they're really organised, but when they transition into attack, they have players closer to that man who scores them goals.
Any striker will tell you, Will, if you can get a manager like Unai Emery who concentrates on a number 9 playing the width of the 18-yard box, it helps a front man like you wouldn't believe. Ollie Watkins, like many other strikers in the Premier League, they're hard work and they don't mind running the channels. But when you get someone, and we've seen it with Ancelotti when he first came into Everton and he got Dominic Calvert-Lewin finishing 1 and 2 touch within the width of the 18-yard box. That's where them boys want to be, and that's what I think Unai Emery's done to Ollie Watkins. I agree with Farah. The players around him certainly help being closer to him, so he hasn't got to run the channels. But get him between the width of the 18-yard box, get him in the box for chances. he'll finish.
There's always a flip side to someone playing that well for your club, though, isn't it? Because, he's been linked with absolutely everyone, and it's keeping hold of him in the summer because, they need to build that team around
As
him.
it stands, they're in European football, aren't they? They're in a great position.
Yeah, and you want to stay if you were Watkins, right? Being played through the middle. Well, what about Brentford? Because, it wasn't long ago we were talking about the potential of Brentford's fans going on a European tour. Their last 5 games, no wins, and they've lost their last 3 on the bounce.
But they pick up points, don't they? They pick their points up early, and at home they're really difficult to go to. And you just heard when Dom was saying there, the team that you don't want to go to their ground, they can mix up the way they play. We've seen them against City this season when they played really ugly and really direct through Ivan Toney, and then they can play with the ball. So they're a difficult team to go away to and play. So I think it will be tactically a very enjoyable game for the neutral, that game at Brentford tomorrow.
They're a different side away from home. When I watched them against Man United, it was almost like, the belief that they've got at home with the home fans and the raucous atmosphere and the hostile atmosphere makes it difficult for anyone. They're a different side away from home. They don't convince me that they can still play that same way away from home. It's almost like they rely on all the atmosphere and the emotion. And then when they play at home at the G-Tech, they are a side you don't want to face because they can be in your face. They're a hard side to play against. So even listening to Thomas Frank there, he's playing it down saying, the fact that we're staying in the league is still remarkable, and it is.
Yeah.
Because the budget they've got, I would imagine it's probably bottom 6 of the Premier League. So they've not got a massive budget. So for what they do at home in a European hunt is still amazing for that club.
And I make the same point with Ollie Watkins, with Brentford, in terms of that man that you can see there, Thomas Frank, because every job that comes up, he seems to be getting linked with. He was linked with Leicester not long ago. Why would he leave the project that he's got? Because he's so hands-on with it. And again, keeping those players together. David Raya looks like they're going to lose him. They don't want to lose many more there.
Yeah, it's difficult because, and a manager like him, they are ambitious, and of course, when you're doing well with a small budget, teams look at that, and you saw that with Chelsea when they took Graham Potter on. But it's those decisions that he will have to make that are right for him. He's a fantastic manager, and we've seen that. But he's got to do what's right for him. Of course, there'll be teams out there that without managers. There's been so many transitions of managers this season in the Premier League. But he'll want to do, as I mentioned, the right thing for him. And I think he loves Brentford. He loves the community, the way that he's built that together, the fans and the players, that really tight-knit club. I think he enjoys that. I'm not sure you get that at many other clubs.
Yeah, and a reminder, they could have a say in the title race, couldn't they, Brentford, because they play Manchester City